Hello everyone, welcome to a new video on the channel. This is a very awkward angle, I know. This is not how I wanted to film this video, and as you know, I don't really feel comfortable being on camera, showing myself entirely. So we're doing this really awkward angle on my beard. I totally respect if you tune out of this video because it's not the best setup that I've ever done, but we're here to talk about the end of October and my reading for October. I've got my journal here, just trying to find the pages that we need. So we've got this set up here, and another page as well to talk about. So over the month of October I read a total of 16 books, and in my first update I'd only talked about the first 6. So we've got 10 books to get through, and because of that I'm not going to mess around whatsoever. A lot of them are digital, so thankfully I will have up on the screen. Oh, I don't actually know. I'm filming this on my laptop, sorry, my tablet, so the angle's different for me, but I'll put on the screen the covers for the book so you don't have to stare at me in this awkward position. If you want to know why I'm filming this from bed, I had a pretty decent fall the other day, and I can walk on my leg, but I'm finding it really challenging to not have it elevated. So yesterday I sat at my desk for the entire day and I filmed the wrap-up video for the month of October, and I'm paying for it today. So today we're going to film from my bed. Like I said, totally respect if you don't want to watch this. Thank you for those who do. And no more waffling. Let's just get straight into the first book we need to talk about. So the first book we're going to talk about is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This is book 1 of the Elements of Cadence series. I listened to this as an audiobook. I gave it 5 stars. This is my second Rebecca Ross book. I read Divine Rivals, and I actually gave that one 4.5 earlier in the year when I read it, but I have since upgraded it to a 5 because I still think about it almost every day. It's such a good book, and I cannot wait for book 2 in that, so I decided to pick up this series while I wait for book 2, and I enjoyed this one. I think it's very different from Divine Rivals, but you can tell it's written by Ross. Her writing style is just really enchanting and just immersive. I really enjoy the world building that she creates. It just really elevates the entire series, or story, sorry, with the way that she writes. And this follows 4 different characters, and at the beginning of the story I wasn't that interested in 2, but by the end of it I really enjoyed them. So this follows a clan. It's on a magical island that's been divided in 2, and they are missing some of their children, and they think that the other clan is responsible for it. But to find the children, they're running out of options. They can't cross the line that divides them from the other clan, because they will be attacked, and so they use the help of magic through their bard, Jack, who's one of the main male characters. He comes back from being over on the mainland for 10 years to help with this, and is thrust into using his magic ability to make song and bring forth spirits of the wind, the sea, and I think the earth, in hopes that they can find where these children are. And it's quite a deadly it's quite a perilous journey. It takes a while for them to figure out just how dangerous it's going to be. And I liked all the twists and turns in this book. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. I was really interested in it. I liked the magic system because it's quite subtle, even though there's moments where it's really in your face. And I liked the connection between all 4 characters and their love stories with within each other. So you have Jack, who has returned and I think her name is Ardana, the main female character. She is the leader of the clan's daughter, and then you have her cousin, and I can't for the life of me remember his name off the top of my head, and he is the captain of the guard, and then his wife, 𝓤𝓲𝓭, who is a healer. And so getting their 4 point of views was really, really intriguing. The further I got into the book, the more intrigued I got by it as well. So yeah, I definitely think this is one to follow. I'm looking forward to picking up book 2 when I get a chance to. The next book I'm talking about is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This is a YA rom-com, and it is now released. It was obviously an ARC that I received, and I gave it 4 stars. I really like this author's way of writing YA. I do not enjoy her adult contemporary romances at all, which is really funny because if I love her YA, you would think I would enjoy the more adult books, but I find that they don't hit as well emotionally. And this story follows Bailey and Charlie, and they're both the children from divorced families. Charlie was someone who Bailey met on a plane and found him absolutely exasperating a few years ago, and he was teasing her because it was obvious that it was her first time flying alone to visit a parent, and she was quite upset already about the whole situation, and she thought this boy was absolutely horrific. But they end up working at a water park, I think, together, and there their friendship grows into something else. Charlie is of the belief that girls and boys cannot really be friends, and Bailey is going through a hard time with the fact that her mother has now got a long-term partner, and he started to stay at their house and is changing the dynamics in her household, and she wants him gone because she doesn't want to share her mother. And instead of speaking to her mother and being a bit more honest, and I can understand why she didn't at points, because there was a lot of miscommunication from her mother as well. She decides that she will use Charlie as her fake boyfriend to kind of drive the partner out because he doesn't really like him. And obviously you can tell that they end up falling in love. I really enjoyed this one. I did struggle with some of the teenage angst, but I think that this author does write teenage tone really well. Like, there's some books out there that you know that the book was originally not for teenagers. It was downgraded to a YA for marketing purposes. This one is definitely for a YA read. I found Bailey to be very much so her age, and some of the choices that she made, whilst exasperating, made sense because of how dramatic and easy to jump to conclusions teenagers can be. I'm not trying to like pigeonhole teenagers into one whole sort of thing, but you know, the teenage angst was very well done. And I took away a star because I felt the ending was rushed. I didn't like the resolution between Bailey and her mother. I feel like it was really glossed over. And whilst the third act breakup had to happen, I felt like it was a little bit unnecessary. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I highly recommend it, but it wasn't my favourite one of the YAs that I've read by this author. But all the same, I enjoyed it because I read it all in one day. So that says something. Flipping over to see what we're talking about next, and I actually have a physical copy of this book, but I I didn't actually read it from the book. I had marked it out to read it, but I ended up getting the audiobook out, and that is how I got through it quite quickly. This is Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the follow-up book in the Cursebreakers world. So Cursebreakers series is complete, but this is the next segment in that world, following different characters as the main characters. So you have Tycho, you have Jax, and you have Kala. And 𝓤𝓏 we met in the first series. He is loyal to Gray, who is the king of 𝓤𝓱𝓮𝓻. I'm never going to say that properly. And there is a rebellion against him being the king because he has magic, and beforehand there was no magic in these lands. Jax and Kala live in a small township. Jax is disabled. He lost his foot in an accident, and he is also the son of a blacksmith, and he's very talented at doing work in the forge. And Kala runs the bakery now that her parents have passed away. Her father ended up dying in the rebellion, and they get mixed up in the rebellion because they are very much so needing coin. They're struggling to pay taxes, and a person comes to them with a letter to pass on to another person in the rebellion to sort of lose the tracking that could happen to the letter if it was just handed straight to the person. And so to make coin, they start taking the letters, and then it gets quite dark and deadly from there. I really enjoyed the romance aspects in this book, which was a subplot. So 𝓤𝓏 and Jax, I really enjoyed their storyline a great deal, and I probably would read on in the series for those two alone. I did enjoy Kala with another character who we meet, who is deemed morally grey. I like morally grey people, so it was natural that I was interested in what was happening there. But at the same time, I gave this book 3.5 stars, and that was only, the extra star was half star, sorry, was only because I enjoyed the romance aspects. Otherwise, I would have given this 3 stars. It is incredibly dry and boring. I fully admit that after book 1 in Curse Breakers, I have no idea what Bridget was trying to do, because I felt like the world completely collapsed on itself, and I ended up really disliking a lot of the things that happened in books 2 and 3. So I'm not sure why I wanted to pick this up, only that I did like 𝓤𝓏. I think that's probably why I picked this up. And yeah, the storyline in this, it felt like a lot happened, but not a lot at the same time. It felt like it really dragged in areas it didn't need to, and it was over-explained in others. I didn't find myself fully invested in the storyline. I couldn't care less what was happening in the castle and all the betrayals. The ending was more interesting. I must admit, when the pace got faster, I was more invested. But overall, this was just rather boring, aside from those character developments with the romance aspects, because that was literally the only thing that kept me going. So yeah, 3.5 stars. The next book I read was called Talk Santa to Me by Linda Urban. This is a small novel, and I listened to it as an audiobook. Obviously, it is a Christmas story. It's set around a girl called Francie or was it Frankie? Frankincense, yeah. And she gets called Frankie, I think, for short. And she was born in a manger because her family runs a Christmas themed shop and like sort of set up workshop and all that stuff. And the storyline was meant to be that Frankie is trying to find romance and also save the shop, because her parents were having a bit of a struggle ever since her grandfather passed away, and keeping things afloat, and her aunt was taking over and she wasn't very happy with it. But to be fair, I feel like this story went off on so many different tangents. I can't actually tell you what was happening, and the romance was very mediocre at best. So there's not much I can say that was nice about this. I did like the Santa intern part about it. So she is working in the shop, and her father was meant to go on air and talk to kids live on air. Unfortunately, there was an accident, so she steps in as Santa's intern, and then in return has to start writing letters to all these kids that send them to her, which I thought that aspect was really cute. But otherwise, I had no interest in this. I did, for full transparency, pick this up because the author's last name was Urban. I needed a letter U author. And now I've finished that prompt, but I gave this 2 stars. So the next book that I finished was Never Vacation with Your Ex by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegemund-Brocker. I hope I'm saying that correct. And this is a YA romance, and it is friends to lovers. I gave it 3.5 stars, and it follows a volleyball star, Kaylee Jordan. She is the daughter of an Olympic volleyball player. Her mother is very famous, and she is already struggling to keep up with the pressures of playing the sport that she enjoys under the spotlight of her mum. She can never seem to break free from it. So she's already really stressed out by that, and because of that, she finds it really tough to go on a summer vacation. She was looking really forward to going, but she's just broken up with her best friend, who she ended up dating for a few months. And every year her family vacations with his family, and now she has to go on holiday with her ex. I mean, this was cute. It wasn't anything over the top or anything like that. It wasn't anything amazing. You knew what was going to happen through the forced proximity of being on holiday with each other. They were going to end up rekindling their love, right? It was pretty obvious from the beginning. I did struggle a lot with Kaylee as a character. I found that she was really self-absorbed, really selfish, and expected a lot from the main male character. What's his name? Dean. That's right. So I think that she was really cruel to him at points, and throughout the story you get to see why things went the way it did, and you can tell that Kaylee still very much so likes him. It was more so a journey for her to learn who she was, rather than really come into this romance and find her way that way. But it was cute. It filled in a gap in my reading. I listened to it all in one day, and yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've read, but I wouldn't say that it was memorable enough for me to think about what happened in it either. So yeah, if you're just needing something to fill in a gap, or you just want to listen to something for a few hours, this one will do it. I think I was painting my nails while I listened, or something along those lines. So yeah, it was just something that filled a gap for me. I don't have anything bad or good to say about it aside from the character of Kaylee. So the next book I finished was Enchanted to Meet You by Meg Cabot. I read this with the romance book club in mind. It was a last minute choice for us, and I used to love Meg Cabot as a teenager. I was so obsessed with all of her books when I was younger, and I think younger me would have enjoyed this one, but it is deemed an adult paranormal rom-com. It follows a character who is deemed a cottage witch, and she also runs a boutique fashions shop, and a man appears at her shop one day and tells her she is the chosen one to save her small township from a demonic rift, and she has to find the bringer of light, which is a teenager, and they're going to save the day. The biggest issue I had with this story was, aside from the romance aspect, we'll put that aside for now, the storyline made no sense. So she's supposed to be a chosen one, and she's meant to save the day. But when it came to saving the day, it didn't really happen. There was no magic used to save the day. Not really. And so I was really let down. Like, I was already frustrated with the book by this point, and then you get to the end and there's no need for magic. I thought, what was the real point? However, the romance really annoyed me. I am not a huge fan of insta-love or insta-lust, and this was very much so the case. I think they said I love you within like 5 days of knowing each other. Well, that's at least how it felt. And it was very much so, how to put it, if you enjoy books by Tessa Bailey for the plot, the lacking plot, and more for the porn, like books like My Killer Vacation, where the main male character is very instantly like protective, she is lying caveman type on her, and the romance is pretty quick, like that all they can think about is having sex with each other rather than doing what they need to do to save the day, then I think you'll really enjoy this one. It wasn't for me. I did not enjoy it whatsoever. I could see how Cabot had recycled a lot of things from the series that I read when I was a child, as in the main female character sounded like an adult version of Mia Thermopolis from the Princess Diaries, in appearance at least. And the rival to the main female character was very much so a recycle character from her Mediator series, from one of the girls at her school that used to bully her just to be a bully. She felt very much so the same. There was no real reason for the rival to be the way she was consistently throughout the book. I think if you just want something that's just quick and easy to get through, it's very easy to read, then this one will be fine. But I don't know what it is. I just can't get into these witchy rom-coms. There's always something missing. It feels very lacking. I'm not sure what it is. And I'm really disappointed because I absolutely loved this author as a kid. And now I can't stand reading her books. So it's really horrible. But we move on. I think, did I say that I gave it 2.5 stars? That's what I did. I gave it 2.5. Moving on to the next book I finished was Check and Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. I got this as an ARC. This book will now be out, or almost out when I put this video up. This is a YA rom-com focusing on a chess tournament. And if you are looking for something different from Ellie's other books, the only thing that's different is that there's no detailed smut. The characters are the same, so let me get it out really quickly. I have a real beef with this author for writing the same characters. He's always massive in every way. She's always petite. She's down in luck in life. She's struggling. He's going to save the day kind of thing. He's whipped for her from the beginning. So if you're looking for something different from that, it's not going to happen. However, I did give this 4 stars. I did enjoy myself. There's something addictive about the way Hazelwood writes at points, and the fact that I read this one in 24 hours. I did have to do it in 2 different settings, but I was up until 4 a.m. at one point reading it. Does say a lot. I did enjoy this a lot. There were elements that obviously I wasn't a fan of, such as the samey thing, but that didn't really bother me because I kind of expected it was going to happen. But I did have issues with the toxic, almost borderline toxic relationship between the main female character and her family. So she's only 18 during this, and what is her name? I've got to quickly open up my app and find out what her name is. Mallory, that's right. And so she hasn't played chess in years, but her family really needs money. Her mum's really ill. She's the oldest of 3 girls. Her father has passed away, and she's trying to make as much money as she can to keep them afloat. And she ends up going into a chess tournament for a friend, and it gets the attention of everyone because she beats the #1 chess player in the world. And from there she gets picked up and starts to play the game that kind of ruined her family in her mind. There's a lot of angst involved around chess for her. I really enjoyed the journey for Mallory, and how she approached learning the game again, and how much she loved it even though she didn't want to. It was really interesting how Hazelwood wrote this character. I really enjoyed the main male character. He was fantastic. His name's Nolan, and he wanted to play chess with her so badly because he was so bored of playing against everyone else. So it was really interesting to see how that all came together. I did feel the ending was a bit meh. I would have liked a little bit more time spent on the ending, but overall I just really enjoyed this one. I liked the fact that I didn't have to worry about unprotected sex, because that is an issue I have with some romance authors and how they glamorize that aspect in books. But yeah, no, it was pretty good. I really enjoyed this one. Highly recommend it to people who both like Hazelwood's romance books, her adult books, and also people who are interested in reading a YA rom-com about chess. It was really interesting. The next book I have a copy of. I got this graphic novel from the store. I thought it sounded really, really cute. It is a volume 1 of 𝓤𝓲𝓕𝓲 by 𝓦𝓱𝓮𝓻. I hope I'm saying that right. This follows two characters. One is a ghost, and she was, when she was alive, she was one of the best people up on stage. She was super into being an idol. And then the other character is the main male character, and he has no issue with taking the money he gets for being an idol, but he doesn't want to put in the effort at all. He's really lazy. He has no interest in fan service, nothing like that. And so he allows the female ghost to possess him while he's on stage, and she gets to live out her fantasies of being on stage still, and he gets obviously to get more fans and more opportunities to make money while she's doing the work for him. Over time, however, he realizes that her dreams and aspirations are really admirable, and you can see that he starts to want to try harder as himself and do the job when she couldn't possess him. So it was really cute. It made me laugh a couple of times. It is a little bit challenging to read. Most manga or graphic novels I've read, you can kind of tell like the format of how you read it across the page. Obviously it's like a typical manga where you read from what we would call the back of the book to the front. So you would read, well, I would assume like that. And in some cases it does do that, and in some cases it goes like this. Some cases it goes like this. So I did find it a little bit challenging to figure out which one of the slides or the scene was where I'm meant to be reading. Other than that, I found this really cute. I did give it 3.5 stars because I think it's more suited to a younger audience. My sister is 17, and I actually brought this with the intention of reading it first and then letting her read it afterwards, so we could sort of have something that we could read together and talk about. That was my main thought process around this, and it fulfilled a prompt. I needed a paranormal book, so this was it. Even though I did read another paranormal before it, I was using that for another prompt. So yeah, really happy with my purchase. I hope my sister likes it. She's reading it at the moment, so hopefully she'll enjoy it more than I did. The next book I read was Mooncakes. It is another graphic novel. It was illustrated by Wendy Zhu, and it was written by Suzanne Walker. And obviously, again, with the A to Z challenge, I needed an author for X. I couldn't find one for the longest time that I wanted to read. And thank you to everyone who gave me suggestions. I did look into some of them, but I wasn't really like swayed. And then one suggestion mentioned Wendy Zhu, and I hope I'm saying that right. And I couldn't get the book that they suggested, but I could get this one out from my library, and I'm so glad. It was so cute. It was another paranormal witchy story, and it was a queer story as well. The representation in this was just fantastic. There was mental health, and there was also disability rep. So one of the main characters wears a hearing aid, and essentially this follows two young people. One is a witch, and she lives with her grandmothers, and they run a shop that has spells and books galore and all those types of things. And the other character is a werewolf, and they are trying to work through their identity and who they are as a person, and they're met by a demonic force that they need to take down, and together they work with her grandmothers to but the main female grandmothers to sort of take down this evil force. It's very quick. It's only 251 pages. I read it in, I think, like 40 minutes. It's a very quick and cute little story. But for the length of it, I found it was really, like, everything that you needed to know was wrapped up. There was enough information to learn about the two main characters and understand the journeys that they were on. The romance was really cute and adorable. The family wholesomeness was there, and they were able to save the day at the end of it. So I think it wrapped up really well. I gave it 4 stars, and I think it's really cute. If you've got some time, definitely check this one out. And the final book that I read, I managed to finish on the last day of the month, and it's very big, so I don't know how I'm going to fit this in. Maybe if I hold that for a minute. Is Throne of the Fallen by Kerri Maniscalco, and I gave this 5 stars. So I'm going to start this out with saying, thank God whoever was the ones that finally let this author write an adult fantasy. I am so grateful for you, because it was very clear that Kingdom of the Wicked was meant to be at least new adult and had been downgraded to a YA, which still grates me to this very day. It does not belong in the YA section whatsoever. And I'm so relieved that the success of that predecessor to this overall world was met with such success. So then she was given the opportunity to finally write an adult fantasy, because allowing this author to write what she was intending to from the first place means that this read beautifully. Everything that happened in this book made sense. The aspects all lined up well. The storyline, the character development, everything was perfect. And I'm a huge fan of Maniscalco's male characters, and I'm not a big fan of their female characters. So I was worried I was not going to like Camilla, who is the female main character in this one, but I actually really did enjoy her. I found her fascinating. I liked the twists that were involved with her identity. Whilst I started to guess them from probably after the first third of the book, I had some suspicion. I really enjoyed how it played out, and I really enjoyed the entire story. So this follows Envy. We meet him in Kingdom of the Wicked series. I'm not going to give away that series because I personally don't think you need to have that knowledge to go into this. I mean, it does help with the little Easter eggs, right? But overall, I think you could pick this up as a standalone and read it without wasting your time on Kingdom of the Wicked. Full transparency, I wasn't a huge fan of the last series just because I found the female character Amelia very exasperating. But this follows Envy. He is trying to save his court that is under quite a perilous tragedy because of a curse, and he enters a game that is being hosted by the king of the Unseelie Fae, and he needs to win in order to get back what he lost to this king and reclaim his house and their health. He's already lost a lot of demons, and he wants to save as many more as he can. And he is sent to Waverly Green, which is a human land, to try and find someone because it's part of the game, and he needs something painted by this person, and that is Camilla. And from there they go on their journey to try and uncover all the game steps and figure out all the mysteries in order to win the game. And I think this was done really well. Obviously, this is an adult fantasy, and Maniscalco was very obvious with the sexual tension and wanting to add in sexual scenes in the past series. So this one is definitely adult. It's very spicy compared to the first series. I'm not huge either way on smut. I don't have a need for it to be in my books, but if it is, I don't like super spicy books, but this one is an exception. I really enjoyed this one. I really loved the characters and the way that Envy and Camilla fight their feelings for each other, because they know they're on the wrong sides of the coin kind of thing, that they're not going to match when everything's all over and done. But it works out really, really well. I love all the characters that we meet in this. I absolutely love seeing all the other brothers of the 7 houses of sin, and how they're playing into this world and how they will continue to, because I know that whilst this is a standalone, the author does plan to write more in this world. Yeah, I could just keep going on and on about this book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book of the month, but it was my second favorite. So I really loved this one. Never thought that I was going to give any book in this world 5 stars, but here we are. I'm looking super forward to what comes next in this world as well. So that was all the books that I have for today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know this video has been quite long, and again, I apologize for the angle, but it was either film it or don't. And I thought, no, I will fulfill my end of month wrap up for my reading update. So thank you if you've watched it this far. I will be back with a new video sometime very soon, and until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading. Bye everyone.